Almost every detail of this tabletop set was done exclusively using AI. As we take a closer look, keep in mind not everything is AI. To help create this tabletop set, we used the sponsor of today's video, Tripo 3D, along with a few other tools. Tripo 3D is an AI-powered 3D modeling tool that can take text or images and generate a 3D model. So let's take a look at Tripo AI and see what its strong points are and maybe a few of its weaknesses. Right away, just looking at the homepage, we can see that quite a few people are getting some really good options when it comes to their generative AI. We could scroll through this all day and look at all the cool different things people are able to come up with, but honestly, we're more interested in getting to the dashboard and checking it out for ourselves. The good news is for our dashboard or workspace, it's not overly cluttered and things are fairly straightforward. We have our assets over on the right and then our generation area over on the left with a few top options, most of which we won't be using today as we don't really need anything like rigging, animation, or texture for 3D printing. Before we do anything, I want to mention that all the prompts we're going to use for this video are going to be incredibly simple. No more than 1 or 2, maybe 3 sentences. Because if you have to use overly complex prompts or be a prompt engineer to use AI, then I really don't think it's a great service. So we're going to try to stick to really simplified prompts for Tripo AI. Obviously, we could always do better with our prompts, but most people using a generative AI are not going to be prompt engineers. To do something like this, the first thing we're going to need is a simple floor tile. So let's go ahead and enter in something simple like a cobblestone floor tile medieval for a D&D type tabletop game. And after a few seconds, the first thing that we'll notice about Tripo AI is it doesn't automatically generate a 3D model. The first thing it's going to do is generate a preview image, which I kind of prefer because it lets us know if the AI is thinking along the same lines as the original prompt that we gave it. And right away, I was really happy with the first result that we got back from Tripo AI. So we went ahead and hit generate to see what it would throw out for a mesh. And after a little bit of processing, we see our first 3D model. Once our mesh is complete, we could see almost right away that there's a little bit of weirdness going on with the mesh, but believe it or not, this is going to work just fine for what we need it for. Now, we could have retried our generation a few times and seen if we came out with a better result, which I'm sure we would have, but it makes a lot more sense once we pull this into Blender because everything that we're doing today is going to have a little bit of modification anyways. Since I've worked with AI mesh generation before, one thing I know is AI doesn't really have a good concept of floor level, so everything we generate today is going to need a little bit of modification in Blender. This normally isn't a problem when you're generating single items like a chest or a barrel or something like that, but it is a problem when you're generating things like terrain because the AI is generating a piece of terrain where there is no world layer, so it doesn't really know where to stop. Thankfully, this is incredibly easy to take care of. Since we're going to be mocking up the entire thing in Blender before we 3D print it, all we need to do is add a cube at our floor level so we can apply a Boolean cut to everything that we're going to 3D print. And the first thing we'll do is take our floor tile and scale it to 40 millimeter by 40 millimeter, and then make sure to copy and paste that several times so we have the base of our terrain. Now that we have our ground tiles brought into Blender and laid out, we need something to kind of break it up as we don't want just one big solid piece of the same tile over and over again. And just like before, we're going to go ahead and generate a new terrain tile, but this time instead of a basic cobblestone, we're looking for a smaller creek or something like that that we could run through the middle of our terrain piece and kind of break things up. And right away, I'm really happy with the result that we get from Tripo 3D as it's exactly what I'm looking for. So we can go ahead, download this and pull it directly into Blender and start dividing up our terrain. And we'll make sure to scale this to 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters so it matches the same exact size as our other floor tiles. Now that our terrain is divided with our little creek running down the center, we need something to get from one side to the other. So the next thing that we're going to generate is a simple bridge or something like that that we could drop on our board. And right away, we get an interesting kind of result. There's a few things going on with this bridge, and I'm not really feeling the lower sections, but the good thing is we don't really need that, and I'm really happy with the upper sections of the bridge. And since we're doing a Boolean cut, on everything, we can just lower it to the section that we like, which is the upper section, and simply remove everything else. I'm really liking the way that this bridge is fitting into our terrain, and it's really matching that medieval tabletop style that we're going for. And at this point, we just need to throw a few more things into our mock-up here to give us a little bit more going on. The first thing we're going to need is a few buildings that we can go ahead and throw onto our terrain. So that's going to be the next thing that we go ahead to generate. The first building we get looks really good, but it's not exactly what I'm going for. I'm looking for that more squares type terrain, and this rounded look just isn't really working. So we'll go ahead and generate again and see if we can get something a little bit more square so it fits the style of what we're going for. And I really like this next generation, and it looks like Tripo 3D has even added our own little floor tiles to it, but we're not going to use those because we want everything to match. So I'll end up cutting those off. But when it comes to the building, I'm really in love with it, and I think it matches the style we're going for perfectly. This is going to be a smaller building for our set piece here. So I'm wanting something a little bit larger that we could throw into our terrain. That's going to be more of a focal point to the other pieces. So we'll go ahead and generate something now and see what we come up with. Mainly what we're going for is a larger runes section for the terrain. So that's kind of what I'm going to input here, just some medieval style larger runes and see what comes out. What we get back looks really good, but we notice there's a little bit of weirdness going on with the floor. But keep in mind, we're adding a Boolean cut to everything and putting it on our own floor tiles. So it doesn't really matter that the bottom of this model didn't really work out. And once we get it into Blender, we see that it looks awesome. I'm super excited with the way this is working out. Next up, why don't we go ahead and throw some sort of watchtower onto our terrain and see how that works out. And once again, I'm really happy with the result that we're getting from this AI, so we can go ahead and take this and throw it into Blender as well. One thing I will say, looking back, is I almost wish I would have taken up a few more floor tiles with this tower. Instead of making it a smaller 4x4 set piece, I think it would have been really cool if I would have done this a lot larger so it felt more prominent in our terrain. But even at a 4x4 tile size, it still looks pretty good. So we're just going to go ahead and run with it. And one of the last things that I'm going to generate for this piece is just a simple well or something like that we could throw somewhere in the middle of our terrain to just kind of break it up a little bit more. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that this was made almost exclusively using AI, but keyword almost. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I personally don't play D&D or anything like that, but I've always thought that the tabletop sets looked really cool. So for this project, I thought it would be a good idea to go for something like that. But like I said, I don't really play D&D. But I am a huge fan of the Stargate franchise, so I figure why not mix a little bit of both and throw a little bit of Stargate into this. This is Martin, hands down one of my favorite creators of all time. Now, you could find his work on printables, things, and Maker's World. And one thing he does is he spends thousands and thousands of hours creating these awesome models from popular science fiction franchises. If you've never checked out his work, go ahead and give him a look because it's honestly some of the best models that I've ever seen uploaded for the 3D printing community. For this project, we're going to go ahead and download his puddle jumper from Stargate Atlantis and throw that into the resin printer so we can add that to our project. Because I don't think AI should be a replacement for creativity. I think it should supplement our projects, but not really replace the people who have put thousands of hours into CAD and design. While we're at it, let's go ahead and grab a Stargate from another creator to throw into our project. Again, we're not trying to replace everything with AI, simply trying to supplement what's already existing. Once we have these files into our Blender project, our tabletop set is starting to look a lot closer to what I was going for. Now we just need to get everything printed so we can start laying the project out on the table so we can move forward. And one important note here when it comes to AI-generated 3D models is when you pull them into your slicer, most of the time you're going to see some issues with some non-manifold edges. Now, I could have easily repaired these in Blender, but I wanted to show that for the most part, all you need to do is click repair edges and the problem just kind of solves itself. And once everything's printed, we can bring it over to the table and lay it out so we can glue it on our thinner piece of plywood here. And this is where things get really exciting, because if it looked cool on the screen, it looks even better in person. And this is where we have our first major problem with this project. You see, everybody during the filming of this ended up really sick, and we all had to take a few days off. I'm not a painter, and somebody else was supposed to paint this set piece, and now I kind of have to do it myself. And if there's one thing I really hate, it's painting. And even worse than that, I have no idea what I'm doing. The first thing I did know is I didn't want to start from a white base, so I just grabbed a can of copper and gold and hit this thing entirely so there wouldn't be any white bleeding through the terrain or anything like that. And once that was done, I went up to the store, grabbed a few cans of spray paint, and just started spray painting the whole piece to kind of get a rough outline of how it was supposed to look. Now, the person who was supposed to paint this has a lot more tools and a lot more color at their disposal, and I don't really have anything, but luckily my wife had a few acrylic paints laying around. So I just ended up watching a quick 5-minute video and it said, hey, do this. So I just kind of did that. Again, I want to say I have no idea what I'm doing. But this guy's video said, make a wet palette and paint. So that's what I ended up doing. I just made a wet palette for the first time ever, threw some stuff on it and just started painting. Overall, it doesn't look terrible, and I think it looks pretty good for a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. And maybe that's the whole point of being a maker, is you just do the best you can with the things that you have. I have to say I really enjoyed this project, and if somebody walked in and this was sitting on the shelf, I don't think anybody would initially realize that this was mostly done using AI. Mixing Tripo 3D, Blender, and a few high-quality models from some excellent creators really brought everything together, and I think that's the point, is we're not trying to erase everything and just do everything in AI. Instead, we're trying to supplement and bring all our tools together in one place. If you're interested in trying something like this for yourself, or just want to play around with Tripo 3D and a little bit of AI model generation, then I'll make sure to leave all the links and everything in the description down below. Don't forget, when signing up for Tripo 3D, you can use the discount code 0.cmd to save 60% off on your first month of a professional plan. When you register using the link in the description or the invite code, you'll receive an extra 500 credits on top of your base credits. This project has been really fun, and it's exciting to know that where this model generation is today is the worst it's ever going to be, and it's only going to keep getting better and better. But on a scale of 1 to 10, let me know how you think this project ended up. I think it's definitely interesting, and it's been a lot more fun than I initially thought it would be.